Welcome back to Privacy is Power, tips and tricks for data security compliance. I'm Caroline.
And I'm Stacy.
And this month, we're going to discuss the importance of employee training. Stacy, have you ever received a weird email or text message asking you to click a link, or maybe gotten a weird request from your boss that isn't something he or she would normally ask you to do?
Yes, and these types of fishy emails and text messages or requests are happening more and more every day, and they're one of the most successful ways for hackers not just to gain access to one-off information, but to gain access to an organization's entire systems. Human error is real in privacy, and not implementing proper training of your workforce on privacy and security protocols can be detrimental and costly to an organization. Organizations every day are giving access to their employees to sensitive data, whether it's personal information, protected health information, financial information, or competitively sensitive data, and they're just assuming that their workforce knows how to care for this data without giving proper training.
Companies can structure employee training in a variety of ways, but what's most important is that the training is actually tailored to the practices at the organization, and also that it's tailored to the types of sensitive data that the company handles and the roles that employees serve with respect to such data. We recommend that companies engage in what's called awareness training, which helps employees become aware of or able to recognize not only sensitive data, but also any sort of cybersecurity threat that may come their way. We recommend that training be tailored to the type of employee. For example, department heads and privacy and security officers should maybe receive more in-depth training and should be extremely well versed in the company's HIPAA policies and procedures so that they are able to handle questions from employees. Additionally, any employees that have day-to-day access to sensitive data may need additional training in addition to what most of the employee population usually receives.
This awareness training should show the importance of privacy and security matters, and it should be realistic. It should have examples and scenarios that employees can relate to and associate to their day-to-day tasks. The privacy training should include things like how to send secure emails, how to properly store or destroy confidential information, whether it's electronic or paper copy, how to connect to people when there's a situation, who do you alert, what steps do you take, and most importantly, when you get one of those fishy emails, what not to do. The privacy training should also include elements of security training. Some of the basic things. Don't just assume that your employees know what to do and they're implementing some of those basic security training protocols throughout the day. Things like creating strong passwords, safe browser usage, locking your desktop or your computer when you're no longer at your desk, and how to implement proper policy protocols like your bring your own device or your work from home policy. In today's atmosphere where a lot of organizations' workforce are still working from home, bring out that work from home policy or that telework policy. Review it. Make sure it actually applies to what your employees are doing on a day-to-day basis, and update those security protocols to reflect whether they're using their own device, whether you've sent devices home for them to use, whether you allow them to operate at a third-party workplace. Maybe they're at Starbucks. Make sure they know what to do and enforce those security and privacy protocols when they're working in today's environment. Also, make sure you provide copies of the policies and procedures to your employees. Make sure they sign off on those, even outside of just the onboarding process. Sign off on having the training done, and make sure they know how to reach copies if they ever need one. The last thing you want is for an employee to be in a scenario where they need to look back at what the proper protocols are and they don't know where to access the policies.
Facts show that employee training does help reduce the occurrence of security incidents. Reports show that actually almost 90% of breaches are due to phishing attempts or social engineering that certain technical systems can't detect. It's really important to ensure that your employees receive training for this purpose. When employees are trained on what to expect when there's a cybersecurity incident and how to report it up to the proper personnel, then the IT department or the proper personnel are able to handle that security incident in the correct manner. Without training employees, they may not know who to report to, how to report it, what to do with a compromised device, or they may even be scared about what might happen to them or their job if they do report it. This is why training is so important. We actually recommend that companies use fake phishing attempts or dummy phishing attempts in order to try to figure out which employees may need some additional training and to get a better understanding of how the company as a whole is doing when a cybersecurity threat is presented. We also recommend periodic security reminders. Just blasting those out to your employees' email inboxes once a month, maybe more frequently, will help them continue to be reminded of the importance of cybersecurity. Finally, we do recommend that annual training be conducted, and if your company regularly handles sensitive data, additional training might be recommended.
While we know human error is real in privacy, it may also be legally required that your organization train your employees on privacy and security matters. For example, there are U.S. federal, state, and international laws, like HIPAA here in the U.S., that requires you to train your workforce who has access to protected health information, or the Federal Trade Commission's guidelines for financial institutions that require training with respect to the confidentiality, security, and integrity of customer information. You also have international laws you might be subject to, like PIPEDA in Canada or GDPR in the EU, that require training. And there could be industry standards that you're publishing that you comply with that require training, like the payment card data industry security standards, for example. Organizations need to protect their data, and information is accessible at the click of a button in today's world. Not properly training your employees is costly and detrimental to organizations, and we know that training them can help protect organizations and prevent malicious attacks.
McGrath North's Privacy and Cybersecurity team can conduct annual training for you, and we can help you tailor that training to the actual practices and the actual types of sensitive data that your company handles. Please reach out to us today for assistance. Thanks for watching Privacy is Power. We'll see you next month.